Before I came here this morning, all egotistical and very excited, my husband knows clearly how to take my thunder and my triumph. He said, Jackie, don't stand up here too long because people are not here to see you. And I thank him for keeping me humble. Thank you, Evangelist Kimberly Ray Gavin, for the beautiful prayer. I want to thank each of you for choosing to be with us this 50th anniversary of Operation Breadbasket Rainbow Push Coalition. For the past 5 decades, our organization has been in the forefront of fighting for civil and human rights, access to equality, education for our youth, economic justice, and an end to discrimination in all forms. You know that the summer provides many options, but you chose to share this afternoon with us. And for that, we are eternally grateful for your presence. To all of our distinguished guests on the dais, and it's a lovely, lovely group of women here, and thank you for being here. To our sponsors, you didn't have to do what you did, but you did it. And I'm grateful to our international guests who have come from Africa and all across the world, to my friend Keith Bass from the UK, especially to sisters in the struggle, the change agents, the coordinators, and Ms. Lucille Garvin, whom I chose to chair this event with me. All right now. I say thank you and welcome. To my husband of 54 years, I want to also thank you for this opportunity to serve as a change agent with you over the past 5 decades. To my children, grandchildren, daughters-in-law, I thank you for your loyalty and respect. Allow me just a few moments to share a bit of history about the evolution of the International Women's Luncheon. In 1967, a small group of women who found themselves in the corner of a room observed a gathering of distinguished men who were organized for the Black Businessmen Seminar. This conference was hosted by Reverend Jesse Jackson, acting on behalf of Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King. We saw the men having this big meeting, and a group of women, about 11 of us, and some of the names who come to me at this time are Bernadine C. Washington, Reverend Addie Wyatt, Miss Lucille Conway Loman, Miss Helen Anglin of Soul Queen, Albertina Walker, and a few others, began to discuss having our own gathering to identify issues that would impact us in our homes, in our schools, churches, and communities. We were talking about how wonderful it would be if we created our own women's luncheon, like the men were having. And if we use that opportunity, and we could use that opportunity to lift up the issues important to us, our neighborhood, our nation, family. And so we began to organize. And you know, at that time, so few of us held public office, and this is especially true for Black women. Only a handful of us in Chicago were even regarded as Bible business leaders. The women I have named have alone left us much too soon. but how I wish they could see this luncheon today. We have earned our role as congresswomen, state officials, city officials, county officials, stars of stage, film and screen, business leaders, thought leaders, and change agents. And who would have thought that in this year of our Lord, 2016, the women who have rocked the cradle, as was divinely promised, can now place the tip of their fingers together, and on November the 8th, we can elect for the first time a woman to lead our nation. And that we will do. And it should be noted that in the 70s, the luncheon became international in scope when we realized we were part of a greater whole. Our work expanded to Cuba, Central America, Africa, Europe, and the Caribbean. Women are present today at this luncheon not as passive spectators in the shaping of world history, but we are active participants in transforming the world we live in to correct some of the social ills and create a civil, humane society. As we struggle to share power, but not just for the sake of possessing more of it. We do so knowing that our compassion is the missing ingredient in government. As advocates for a level playing field, as women, we know the difference between equality and the sameness of roles. Look at what we can accomplish. When we unite, we create positive change. With one finger, we can touch each other, we can criticize each other. However, united as a fist, we can strike a mighty blow. And with that said, it gives me great pleasure to introduce to you the #1 man in my life, my friend, Reverend Jesse Louis Jackson. Need I say more? Thank you.
As we look back through the years, the issue of trust seems to surface. We trust Hillary Clinton to fight for women, infants, and children. We trust Hillary when she fights to defend the Voting Rights Act, when she fights to expand not suppress the vote. We trust Hillary when she fights for gender equality and racial justice. We trust Hillary when she fights for a one big tent America, all in and none out. One that includes our immigrant community, not one that fuels hot rhetoric of mass deportation. We trust her as she reaches out to our allies in Britain and Muslims in Afghanistan, key thousands of the world. We trust Hillary Clinton to tear down walls of division and build new bridges of hope and unity. We trust Hillary to keep America and the world safe from terrorism. We trust Hillary when she fights to restrict easy access to guns and works to stop the violence. Trust matters. Justice matters. Hillary, you've been through the fire. That's what separates metal from alloy. You get your stars from your scars. You've been tested. We know you, Hillary. We like what we know. We need a president that will see America through a door and not through a keyhole. Vision matters. Some leaders see too few people. We must see all of America. Move our nation from racial battleground, the economic come around, the moral higher ground. Hillary, let nothing break your spirit. Continue to lift as you climb. Remember, character is measured by how you treat the least of us. I present to you the chairman of the committee.
Ladies and gentlemen, the next president of these United States of America, Ms. Hillary Rodham Clinton.
Great pleasure and honor for me to be here at the Rainbow Push Women's Luncheon. And I thank Jackie Jackson for permitting her husband, Reverend Jackson, to be part of this event. But I know very well that this is a family commitment. And to the Reverend and Jackie and the entire Jackson family, I think we all owe you a round of applause for your dedication, your commitment, your love and concern for people everywhere, and especially those who need to be lifted up. It is truly fair to say that if service is love, then you must all be overflowing today, because not only the Jackson family, but these extraordinary women who are the honorees today demonstrate that heart of service. I want to recognize 3 of your representatives in Congress who are there every single day fighting hard, and I, for one, appreciated their sit-in to end gun violence in America. Representative Robin Kelly, Representative Jan Schakowsky, and all the way from California, Representative Maxine Waters. So pleased they can be here, joining with all of us, congratulating and recognizing this year's honorees, a remarkable group of women. They make me think of another quote from another remarkable woman, Margaret Mead. Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has. So it is vital that we keep that in mind, because we have work to do. We have to keep organizing, keep advocating, keep educating people about the facts and the stakes. Your strength and heart and grit are so important to your communities and to all of us. We need world-changing women more than ever, because if you notice, women can get stuff done. You know that great old saying, you want something done, ask a busy woman to do it. And there are a lot of great men who are out there doing amazing work, including those who are here today, Reverend. But we really do need to start listening to each other, don't we? Yes. There's been too much finger-pointing and scapegoating. We need to start recognizing our common humanity, what we share together on this earth. And that requires us to listen, especially in the loud, aggressive world of politics. Sometimes we express ourselves through actions, and that is indeed what we saw on the House floor when, led by John Lewis, Democratic representatives of Congress sat down, refusing to be moved when the cameras went off and the lights went out, because they have been listening. They've heard the anguished cries of families who have lost loved ones to gun violence. Now, it takes humility and it takes a lot of patience to get things done in the halls of power, but I am convinced the tide is turning. I can feel it. I know that people are starting to say, wait a minute, why can't we get common sense gun safety reform done? Wait a minute. Why can't we make sure every child in this country has a good teacher in a good school, regardless of where that child lives, what the zip code of that child's house might be? Why can't we get the cost of health care down, including prescription drugs? Why can't we pay more attention to mental health and addiction issues that are tearing lives and families apart? That's what I hear when I travel across the country, people saying, why can't we do these things? Sometimes they're holding onto my hand really tight. Sometimes they have tears in their eyes. I've heard their anxiety, their frustration, and heartbreak, and I recognize it. Because we have neglected too many of our people, and particularly our children, for too long. And we've lost the ability to put ourselves in someone else's shoes, to show empathy as well as compassion. That is the route to solving problems. That's what Rainbow Push has done all of these years. And I, for one, am grateful to you. Reverend Jackson and I went down to the memorial to the lost lives of young people taken by gun violence. I bet some of you have visited it. It started out as a way to honor those lost lives, getting bricks and writing the names of children and teenagers and young people taken too soon. I've had the great honor of getting to know and work with a number of the mothers who have lost children to gun violence. I believe that Nance Holt is here. And you may know her story of her handsome, wonderful son, Blair, killed in 2007 on a Chicago city bus. An innocent bystander of a gang fight. America is still mourning 49 people murdered in an Orlando, Florida nightclub. We just passed the first anniversary of the murders in Charleston at Mother Emanuel Church. I'm constantly reminded of the loss of the little children and their teachers at Sandy Hook Elementary School. But our country also must mourn and remember the 64 people shot across this city, right here in Chicago, on Memorial Day weekend. And the 33,000 killed by gun violence every year in America. Things are so broken that just to try to get a vote, to keep terrorists from buying guns, and to apply background checks to gun shows and online sales. The Democrats in the Senate had to launch a filibuster, and the Democrats in the House had to sit in. Now, we remember the most famous sit-ins in our nation. Sit-ins that many of you, and certainly the Jacksons, participated in. Sit-ins demanding civil rights legislation, demanding respect and dignity. Well, I don't know about you, but I think saving our children and other people from gun violence is a civil rights issue right now in America. And the continuing opposition by the gun lobby to even letting votes be held, because they know what I know. A vast majority of Americans support common sense gun safety measures, and that includes a big majority of gun owners. So they don't want those votes to be held. They want to avoid them or muddy them up, but we cannot give up. We have to go back time and time and time again, over and over. And what is true for our efforts to stem gun violence and save lives is true about what we need to do to lift up people economically. A lot of folks haven't had a raise in 15 years. People lost their homes. Too many feel left out and left behind, that the economy doesn't work for them. That is not only heartbreak for individuals, that is a threat to our democracy. The basic bargain in America is you work hard, you get ahead, and you stay ahead. So we are going to create more good jobs with rising incomes. We are going to go right into neighborhoods and areas that have been left out of the prosperity that many have experienced. We're going to build on the progress made by President Obama. He does not get the credit he deserves for saving our economy from the big ditch that the Republicans dropped us into. How would you feel? You're a young, dynamic, really smart, new president, happens to be from Chicago. And you get elected, and you find out it's even worse than they told you. We were losing 800,000 jobs a month. 5 million homes were lost. 9 million people altogether lost their jobs, and $13 trillion in family wealth was wiped out. I remember seeing the president shortly after the '08 election, and he just was shaking his head. Like, welcome to the White House, President Obama. You just inherited the worst financial crisis since the Great Depression. Have a good day. I'll tell you what, he protected us from another Great Depression. And we've had 75 straight months of job growth. And I know, we've talked about it, that not everybody has gotten back on their feet. And communities left behind are crying out for investment after being neglected. This is something Reverend Jackson is passionate about, and we all should be. Multi-generational poverty has no place in the United States of America in the 21st century. So we need to listen to each other. And we need to listen to the families crying out for criminal justice reform to make their communities safer and give people who've made mistakes a real chance at a job and a future when they get back home. And we have a lot of people crying out for immigration reform, so workers and their families can come out of the shadows and don't have to fear being ripped apart. You can hear it if you listen, crying for better schools, decent, affordable housing, clean air, and water for every child, whether they live in Flint, Michigan, Chicago, Illinois, or anywhere in our country. And people are crying out for equal rights and dignity. They're telling us about the unseen barriers they face every day. Systemic racism, homophobia, Islamophobia, barriers that some of us can be too quick to dismiss as things of the past. They're still with us. We've got to face that and change them. As Loretta Lynch, our great Attorney General, put it so movingly, we all need a place of safety where we can be who we are without fear. I want us to make America that place for everyone. And you know what else we have to pay attention to? The Supreme Court of the United States. This morning, the court agreed that Texas regulations of women's health clinics were unconstitutional. But that's just one issue. The court's role in our country and lives is big. And the next president could appoint 1, 2, maybe 3 justices. And boy, we cannot let that president be Donald Trump, can we?